Welcome to the New Mexico Fire Hub Template Training webinar. This webinar is presented by the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute in partnership with SWCA. A quick overview of today's webinar. We will start with some background on ArcGIS Hub and what the software does. We will talk about the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Hub, how it started, and our experiences using Hub to support the crisis. We'll give a brief introduction to the Hub template and a demo of the template and an overview of the instructional guide. And finally, we will talk about how to work with us to get a template. What is ArcGIS Hub? It is Esri's community engagement and collaboration platform with a widget-based builder. It was created to be a quick setup website focused on collaboration, where interested groups can share information with their community. It supports many different types of media and allows embeds of the suite of Esri tools that support data capture and visualization. It can support access permissions, making sure you can share specific data with only the groups that need it, while also providing information to the general public, all on the same website. They have built the tool to be intuitive and user-friendly. You do not necessarily need to know GIS or web development in order to build one. Feel free to pause this slide to read more details about the software. Now for some background on how the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Hub was developed. In April 2022, the Hermit's Peak and Calf Canyon fires started separately and then merged. New Mexico Forestry Division were working with mostly hard copy and soft copy maps, but needed more interactive capabilities and came to NMFWRI for web mapping support. Specifically, they and the public information officers needed a way to share restricted information in a more efficient way than just emailing back and forth, and we were able to accommodate this through restricted pages and hub accounts. Once up and running, the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Fire Hub was supporting over 15 groups and agencies to facilitate communication between each other and to the public. Survey 123 forms, photo point layers, and a screening widget were added to the restricted side to help agencies track and communicate recovery work. On the public side, the Map Creator tool, dates and times of workshops and resource fairs, and the New Mexico Fire Viewer were added to support local communities impacted by the fire. As the crisis progressed from fire to post-fire flooding, we updated the hub with new and relevant information and resources. And then finally, and still continuing today, we have transitioned into and refocused on long-term recovery and community support. So what does the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Hub include now? It includes community support information, interactive maps and the Map Creator tool, recovery resources and links, live weather updates and warnings, mitigation information and resources, social media links, a calendar of related community events, restricted pages and content, and still much more. What are some lessons we learned through building and supporting the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Hub? Well, first, we confirmed that it is an effective collaboration tool and enabled communication between agencies, restricted groups, and the public. The permission controls and restricted pages facilitated the use by many different agencies and allowed them to coordinate their efforts. The hub as a tool is very adjustable, and so we were able to change and refocus information as the crisis developed, such as going from fire to post-fire flooding, and finally, to long-term recovery support. We did find that a certain level of web design skills are helpful. Hub is made to be intuitive and user-friendly, but some of the preferred customizations we have on the hub were made through HTML. So it is helpful to have some more experience with web design and coding languages, and some GIS or web mapping capabilities, but it is not required. We found that the number of requests and changes were quite daunting during the crisis, and that selecting POCs for the different groups helped to filter and compile requests and made addressing them in a timely manner much more manageable. And finally, the biggest lesson learned of all is that it's always best to plan ahead, which segues well into the next slide. Why did we create a template? Well, in the past 10 years, there have been over 500 fires in New Mexico forests. Over 2 million acres have burned in the state. There have been 23 fires in our region, and most of our large fires have been followed by devastating post-fire floods. As many of us know, wildfire is now a part of our New Mexico landscape, so we decided to offer this free resource to other groups across New Mexico that we found to be very helpful during our crisis. What does the New Mexico Fire Hub template that we are providing include? It includes a community support page listing local, state, and federal resources, information and resources pages for before, during, and after a fire, emergency alerts, quick resources, videos, and social media links. The New Mexico Fire Viewer is embedded as a default map. There is a calendar that can be used to add community events. There's also an optional restricted page if that is needed for your event. And finally, the Hub template package will include links and attachments to setup instructions and tutorials. And now we will switch to a demo of the Hub template.
The Hub template has multiple tabs that you can use to create a customized Hub site. The home page includes a banner to name your Hub site and provide a blurb about the Hub site. Please also update the banner photo for an image that best suits your site. Next, we have a place for you to include your contact information, calling 911, and a search bar. There's a section for quick resources that is organized by accordions. These can be updated, but we do include a few resources for emergency alerts, weather and special notices, as well as evacuation. The Hub template also includes a calendar that can be used to communicate events to the public. Weather information is preloaded into the Hub site as embedded websites. These embedded websites are called iframes, and we will discuss more about iframes in the editing portion of this demo. You may update this section for your Hub site. Next, we have some preloaded informative videos. This provides a spot for you to link any videos that may be helpful for the public. Lastly, we have a preloaded footer. This footer is an example and will need to be updated with your logo, contact information, and organization's address. The next tab is the Community Support tab. This page organizes community support resources by local, state, and national. The template includes an example of a local resource from the HPCC Hub site. There are few preloaded state and national resources in the template, but these can be updated to best suit your Hub's needs. Next, we have a tab for information and resources. This tab splits information and resources by before the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. The buttons are used to navigate between each phase of the resources. We already have some information already loaded into each section, but this can be updated by removing or adding any information that is relevant to your Hub. The next tab is the Social Media tab. This page allows you to add in Facebook or X feeds directly into the Hub site. We provided some examples from the New Mexico Forestry Division as well as the National Weather Service for the template. The last public-facing tab in the Hub template is the Maps and Fire Viewer tab. The template includes the New Mexico Fire Viewer already embedded into the Hub site. But if you have any additional mapping created for your Hub site, you can add in web maps or any other mapping applications to this tab. The last page is a private tab titled Restricted Page. This page is a dedicated place for you and your necessary partners to organize data, maps, calendars, and so much more. If a restricted page is desired, please include a list of the people and their emails who would need access to the restricted page when requesting a Hub site. Lastly, please ensure that you are following all copyright laws and include proper citations or full references as necessary for content created by anyone other than yourself or your organization. When editing your Hub site, please make sure that you are signed into ArcGIS Online. Once you are signed in, you'll be able to see this pencil button on the left side where you can edit the Hub site. Starting editing session, all you guys do is open that pencil and then you can edit your hub site. Going down, you can change the settings by renaming your template as well as the summary of your hub site. You can also turn on and off site translation for the hub site. You can update the theme of the hub site to best match your branding styles by changing some of the color schemes as well as changing the font. The font is using Google Fonts, so you can browse their collection to find a font that suits your branding styles. Next, we'll talk about the header. And here you can change the appearance of the header. You can change it by going standard, which will kind of condense it, or prominent. You can also update the template's name. You can change it from wide to box. You can add in your logo. You can change the size of your logo and provide your alternative text for your logo. You can also update the menu. The template does come with all of the preloaded tabs and pages, but you can change these up. You can click and drag by rearranging. You can also rename that tab if you would like. You can include social icons for Facebook, X, Instagram, or YouTube. I'm going to skip over layout and jump into footer really quick. We have created a preloaded HTML footer for you, and you will only have to update 3 items. The first would be your logo. You'll just need to update the URL to your logo. The next will be the mailing contact information, and then your address. Once you are done updating, all you would have to do is press apply, and it will update the HTML. After you do anything, you need to make sure to save your hub site. Whenever you do not save and exit out, it will lose anything that you have done. After you've saved and you are ready to publish your hub site out to the public, all you do is save and then publish draft. Next, we're going to talk about the items that you can add into the hub site. As you can tell, we have a few different colors right here. So we have a gray, a blue, white. These are organized by rows. I like to think of a row as a plate, and then you can add in your items. So you could add in a image, you can add in a text bar, you can add in a spacer, and then you can also position your items within that plate. Within text, you can type in your text. You can update the size of the text, make it bold, italic. You can also link to another URL. You can do an ordered list or a numbered list. You can change the position. You can also include buttons or accordions. And if you need any help for quick stuff, you can just press that help button. You can embed maps, charts, iframes, which is what we talked about with the weather service, people, groups. You can do a follow button, add any featured events. We do already have that calendar for you preloaded. You can also add in videos from YouTube or social medias. We do go into each of these items in the guide, which I will discuss later. If you do want to delete anything, all you would have to do is press delete. Also, you can move around items just by clicking and dragging. Once you're done, of course, please remember to save and publish. Next, we're going to talk about pages. So we do have the preloaded pages in the template. However, you can add new pages if you would like. All you would do is title your page. Press next, and it'll create that page. You can update this by changing your color schemes, of course. You can remove out whole rows, add anything that you would like from the layout pane. It is important to make sure that you are making sure that you are sharing this to the public if it's a public page, or sharing it to a group if it's an internal page. And of course, save, publish draft. To return home, you can just press this Pages button. It'll jump back into your page. However, as you know, my new hub template page that I created is not showing up on this header banner. So I will have to go back into the header, go to the menu, add a link to existing content, and find that hub page that I just created. And now it is on the header. And of course, save and publish. When you request a hub template, you will receive an email with your ArcGIS Online credentials, as well as your template link, and then this guide. This guide will go into information about copyright, as well as the contents. It provides a purpose, some useful links, some HTML coding resources, goes into the ArcGIS Hub editing interface, as well as information per tab and then restricted tab. And here we have a ton of quick resources that are provided by Esri that are very helpful while you're creating a hub site. Additionally, if you are wanting to do any custom HTML coding, we do provide some HTML links that are very helpful. As seen before, when we were going in the editing demo, we described the settings, the theme, the header, the layout, all of those different items you can add to a website, your footer, pages, and saving and publishing. If you are creating a hub site using the template and you did not request it, we also include information on how to do so. And then we go into each different tab and what's included in each tab. So we have that home banner, the contact information, quick resources, the calendar. We talk about how to add an event to the calendar, the weather information, informative videos, and then of course the community support tab, information resources tab, social media tab, and the Maps and Fire viewer. For the restricted tab, this is kind of your open playground, but we do include some examples for what we included on the HPCC side so that you can kind of get an idea of what might be great to include in your hub site on that internal page. Thank you.
Now to talk a bit about how to get a template if you are interested. Please contact Staci Matlock or Dana Husingfeld. You can also access our information on the Hub template landing page we are building, nmfirehubs.org. We will be adding more information and helpful links as they come up. If you are interested in a template, we will need to get a few pieces of information from you in order to set up your website and to create Hub accounts with edit access. Then we will send you the link to your new Hub site with the instructional packet attached. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you again for attending this webinar.